All right. So today it's time for yet another album review, and today it's about this band. I mean, it's I didn't plan to do actually. I mean, today album review, let alone from this band that I have a hoodie now. But yeah, I'm doing today an Extreme Noise Terror, a British extreme metal band. Mostly their style is crust punk slash grindcore, but they had their death metal era or late 19s to early 2000, and today actually I'm going to review their most death metal album. This is almost pure death metal album with uh, really a little grindcore and crust punk mixed together. So today I'm going to review Extreme Noise Terror, Being and Nothing. Their 2001 release. Uh, this is my favorite Extreme Noise Terror album, and yeah, like I said, their main style has always been crust punk slash grindcore, but yeah, they had their death metal era, uh, which kind of ended with this album. It started already with their 97 album Damage 381. But yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about this band's history. So the band was formed in 1985 already, so pretty old band. Uh, or I should say really old band for an extreme metal band. So they have been around for now like over 35 years. So yeah, they are old band for sure. Uh, Almost as old as me. I'm born in 81, so yeah, I'm 40. So almost as old as I am is this band, and they have released 6 full-length albums, and their first one was, I have a Wikipedia here so I don't lie, because I just can't remember, or I can almost remember all of their album names and when they came out right from my head, but yeah, I have Wikipedia to help me with this. So their first album came in 1989, so 4 years after their formation, and it was called A Holocaust in Your Head, which was really just crust punk grindcore album to the core. No death metal influences there yet. Then their next album, which already had a little bit of death metal influences, the 95 release called Retrobution, which actually consisted of songs from their first album mainly, with some new songs also. And then I mentioned the Damage 381 from 97, which already started to focus on their death metal sound. And then this 2001 release, Being and Nothing. Then after that, they released Law of Retaliation, which was a comeback to their roots. It was yet again more grindcore crust punk sounding album, Law of Retaliation 2008. And their latest album pretty much continued with that crust punk sound, but it was even more crust punk focused than the Law of Retaliation. And their latest album is their title named album Extreme Noise Terror, which was released in 2015, so 6 years ago. So there you go, and a little bit about their um, lineup. So the only really remaining original member of the band is Dean Jones, who's the main vocalist. They always had like dual vocals, which I really love in this band. They always have two vocalists, and they even had three vocalists in Damage 381, where there was Dean Jones and uh, Phil Vane, who unfortunately passed away in 2011, rest his soul. And he was also a original member besides Dean Jones. So the Damage 381 had three vocalists: Dean Jones, Phil Vane, and Barney Greenway from Napalm Death. So Barney was in their 97 album, but he wasn't in any other albums. So at that time, Barney was briefly out of Napalm Death, but pretty much shortly after the recordings of Damage 381, he returned to Napalm Death, and the rest is history. Of course, he's still with the band, and yeah, not going to talk about that. But yeah, definitely one of my favorite extreme metal bands, especially from UK. So this is a UK band, and pretty much the whole grindcore and crust punk, well, punk in general, is very much UK thing. Of course, there are crust punk bands and grindcore bands in the US and all over the Europe, but pretty much the main land for grindcore, I think, is UK. So yeah, now I'm going to talk about this particular album, of course, because it's the review of this album. So yeah, like I said, this is really much more death metal sounding album. Like I would even say like almost pure death metal release from them. Very little crust punk slash grindcore influences here. It's really extremely fast, brutal, just full of sick riffs, and just drumming is insane, insanely fast and insanely accurate. So they also have dual vocals here by Dean Jones, and Adam Catchpole was their second vocalist at this time, but he's not in the band anymore. But yeah, I think Adam Catchpole provides those death guttural growling vocals, and Dean Jones these high-pitched screams and shrieks, which I really love. They are so sick sounding. But yeah, uh, gonna talk about now about the songs and their names. So the first album, the title track, Being and Nothing, is just so fucking pure, in your face opening song. Really fast, really brutal. It's definitely one of my favorite songs on the album. Uh, yeah, like easily. Uh, just so memorable riffs, insane drumming, so insane, like mainly the screams and shrieks from Dean Jones. I think it's Dean Jones who does those, and the death growling and guttural vocals are by Adam. And then the second album, Through Mayhem, yeah, that's also one of my favorites. Uh, I would say maybe even faster song than the first one. Yeah, really, really insane track. And yet again, so sick riffs. Drumming is just out of this world, and yeah, it's just brutal. Third song, When Gods Burn, I remember that being at least a little bit more, not so fast as the first two songs. But yeah, there are really no, slow songs here, of course. But yeah, very decent song, but I wouldn't say it's not as good as the first two. Man Made Hell, the fourth song. Uh, so I gotta say, I can't remember now from my head all the songs with how they sound, because it's been now like at least like year or something when I have the last time I listened to this album. But of course I've listened to this so many tens and tens, like I would say no, hundreds of times, more like 200, 300 times. It's so insane how much I have listened to this. Then the fifth song, Damage Limitation. I remember that being a really short, really fast song. Uh, yeah, just so insane. Maybe even the most insane and fastest song on the album. Uh, No Longer as Slaves, the sixth song. Uh, yeah, I can't really remember very clearly the sixth and the seventh song. The seventh song named One Truth, One Hate. I can't really remember these songs, but that just tells you that these songs are not as good as some others. But then the eighth track, Awakening, which also is their music video track, is really good. And yeah, that song is maybe a little bit more, I would say it might be the slowest song, heaviest song, but of course it's not slow, but compared to other insanely fast tracks on this album, it's definitely somewhat slower. But yeah, Awakening is definitely, I would say, maybe my third and fourth favorite track on the album. The ninth, Non-Believer, Genocide. Yet again, I can't really remember that song so well. And the last song, there are 10 tracks on the album, Detestation. Uh, wasn't that good actually. It's one of the uh, not so good uh, tracks on the album, but Yeah, I would say in general the first half is definitely better. Like it's pretty much usually the the case of like any album. There just happens to be you know the first half of any album pretty much is usually better than the second half. Maybe the band just wants to put their best songs first and then the not so good and just lesser songs on the bottom. But yeah, definitely the first half of this album is just fucking great, and it doesn't get that much worse. Uh, it still keeps up. This is really balanced album. I wouldn't say there are bad songs here. No way. Uh, and yeah, this is just brutal. If you really love death metal and very fast and extreme and brutal and sick death metal, like the faster side of death metal, you really need to hear this album. I mean, you probably, if you are a kind of uh, more into death metal and have not liked grindcore or crust punk, or you don't like that much, I would say uh, maybe the band's other albums are not for you because they are so much more focused on crust punk and grindcore, except the Damage 381, which really started the death metal focusing sound, which pretty much, yeah, this album just expanded it so much that this is mainly a pure death metal album. But yeah, if you love really fast extreme death metal, you need to hear this. Period. You just need to hear this album. And yeah, I'm going to give this album an much deserved 8.5 out of 10. And it's my favorite album from them. But of course, I also love their more crust punk grindcore styled albums. But yeah, death metal has been, it's just so much closer to my heart than grindcore and crust punk. I've been listening to death metal like now almost, I would say 25 years. Yeah, about 25, 24 years. And of course, I've been listening grindcore about as long as death metal. But yeah, death metal is more to my liking than grindcore in general. But yeah, Extreme Noise Terror, Being and Nothing, really hard to find album, I think. There hasn't been, as far as I know, there hasn't been reissues for this album. So this is the original 2001 issue. But if you can find this like used CD, buy it. I'm not sure if it's expensive or not, but I think this album is pretty rare, so it might be a little bit more expensive side, but that's just my assumption, assuming. I don't know that for sure, but yeah, if you can find this, or just listen to this album on YouTube, yeah, if you love extreme death metal, you can't go wrong with this. just fucking sick album. Yeah, great. And I really love the artwork also here. I mean the uh, album cover is just fucking awesome. It's my favorite album cover from them also. But yeah, that's it. Extreme Noise Terror, like their name say, they are really extreme. Pretty much the band's name is what they're all about. Yeah. But yeah, I have not decided yet, but I may do another video today about some game related video. Of course, I'm not going to do 2 album reviews on one day because yeah, that's not my thing. I can make 2 gaming videos on one day, and I have done that already earlier, but yeah, these album reviews are just more occasional, but mainly this channel is about gaming stuff. But yeah, I just from time to time I love to make an album reviews. So yeah, maybe see you today on another gaming video if I decide to do that. But if I don't, see you very soon. So bye.